Hi, and welcome to Thanatology Thursday. Today is December 26th, the day after Christmas. And if you're celebrating this holiday, for some of us, it might be hard. You know, holidays can be really hard for people when their person has died or if their heart's been broken. So today feels like a special invitation, an invitation to find a piece of healing. And for me, that is in my healing woods. They weren't always called healing woods. They were, in the early stages of my grief, they were my crying woods. Over time, and with thousands and thousands of steps over 23 years of grieving first my sister and more recently my father, I have found peace in these woods. And so I want to speak to you about a beautiful Japanese tradition, and it's called Shinrin-yoku. Now, what is Shinrin-yoku? Shinrin-yoku, when we understand the word Shirin, it means forest, and yoku means to bathe. So really, Shinrin-yoku is a way for us to be bathed by the forest. I was so fortunate about a year ago, a dear friend of mine brought me to her healing meadows. And in those healing meadows, another piece of my grief was able to be processed. I released some of my father into the wind, which is another way of being with our loved ones. So I want to introduce you to Shinrin-yoku, and I'm going to read a passage that was shared with me by another special person, one of my grieving friends, and so I'm going to find a space here, one of my favorite places in my healing woods, to read this to you. So here's what Shinrin-yoku stands for. It's a Japanese term for forest bathing, or the sense of well-being you experience while in nature. Find wholeness in the company of trees. The clearest way into the universe is through a forest wilderness. Deep in the forest I stroll to hear the wisdom of my soul. The forest holds answers to questions we have yet to ask. Repeat. I am as grounded as the trees that surround me. And there I marveled at the forest trees, my soul rooted to its deep, verdant sea. I could no more leave it than it could walk away from me. My favorite place to rest and be is tucked in the shade of an old oak tree. Going for a leisurely walk in the forest feels like getting a big old hug from Mother Nature. The art of forest bathing is the art of connecting with nature through our senses. Forest bathing is for your soul. Your soul knows how to exist in nature. It might just need some help remembering. Listen to the sounds of the forest. Count how many different sounds you can hear. Can you hear the stillness that holds all the sounds? Seeds, not doubting their potential, rise and become forest. May the forest be with you. I love that. May the forest be with all of us. So, when I'm working with bereaved people, often I invite them to find their healing woods. And sometimes that's too soon. I invite them to find just a piece of nature and allow that to become their crying woods, their crying forest. Because I know I felt that these beautiful tall sentinels that are around me, I could feel them holding me while I processed my grief. And so I'm going to invite us into a practice. And this practice is a way of regulating our parasympathetic system. So here's what I would invite us to do in these healing woods. Find a way to get grounded. Find a way to notice 5 things. What are 5 things that you can notice in this moment? Well, here are my 5 things. I noticed that a young man walking his dog just passed me. I noticed the way the snow is falling everywhere like a warm blanket. I notice the trees everywhere and the different shapes that they take. I'm noticing that everything right now, there's a sudden anticipatory stillness. And I'm also noticing the anticipation of holiday time. So those are 5 things that I'm noticing right now, both outside of me and inside of me. What are 4 things that I can hear? Well, I can hear some branches cracking in the distance. I can hear the rumbling of the road, the Richmond Road that passes alongside this forest. I can hear the crunch of the snow beneath my feet. And I can also hear the sound of my voice as I share this experience with all of you. What are 3 things that I can smell? Well, I can smell the sound. It's like the smell of humidity, right? There's something, there's snow that's coming. I can smell it. The air feels and smells thicker. I can also smell the snow, and then I can smell the ground. There's a moistness in the earth, and I can smell the rot of the leaves. So those are 3 things that I can smell. What are 2 things that I can touch? Well, I can touch this beautiful tree and thank it for providing so much nourishment, oxygen, and safety for all of the animals, the birds that are here. And I can also touch the snow, right? And feel how amazing it is that Mother Nature provides during all of our seasons. And then what is one thing I can taste? Well, I can be brave and find a space that hasn't been affected by, hopefully, any animals. And I can taste the snow the way that I used to. And it brings me back to when I was a kid, playing with friends and being so struck by the beauty that is before us. The invitation is, do we give ourselves time to bathe in the present? And what I've noticed is when I'm feeling heavy, as I have been the last few days, that the forest knows exactly what to do, knows exactly how to help me feel into my experience, and then I don't feel so isolated. What I know to be true is that being bereaved, which means to have our hearts broken, torn apart, is a very lonely path, because my experience with my loved one, with my person, my attachment to them is unique to me. But it doesn't have to be so isolating. So, from me to you, find a piece of heaven, find your healing woods, let the forest become your friend, and remember, when we do this grief work, it works.